Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Canto 4, Chapter 22, the type Pṛthu Mahārāja's meeting with the Kumaras, and the text number 13. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Text 13. Kachinnakulam kusalam nata
Kachinna Kushalam Nada.
indriyartartha vedinam
Driyata Vedinam.
vyasa vyasanavapo etasmin
Yasanavapa etasmin.
patitanam swakarmabhi
Patitanam Swakarmabhi.
kaschinna kusalam nata indriyartartha vedinam vyasanavapa etasmin patitanam swakarmabhi
Patitanam Swakarmabhi.
kaschinna kusalam nata
Kachinna Kushalam Nada.
indriyartartha vedinam
Driyata Vedinam.
vyavasanavapa etasmin
Yasanavapa etasmin.
patitamna swakarmabhi.
Patitanam Swakarmabhi. Kachinna Kushalam Nada.
Kaschinna kusalam nata
Driyata Vedinam.
indriyartartha vedinam
Yasanavapa etasmin.
vyasanavapa etasmin
Patitanam Swakarmabhi.
atitanam swakarmabhi. Kaschinna kusalam nata indriyartartha vedinam vyasanavapa etasmin patitanam swakarmabhi. Word to word meaning. Kaschit, whether, na, our, kushalam, good fortune, natha, O masters, indriyartha, sense gratification as the ultimate goal of life,
Sense gratification as the ultimate goal of life.
artha vedinam,
Artha Vedinam.
persons who understand only sense gratification,
Persons who understands only sense gratification.
vyasana, illness,
Illness.
avapi,
Avape.
got,
God.
etasmin,
Etasmin.
in the material existence, patitanam, those who are fallen,
Those who are fallen
swakarmabhi, by their own ability.
by their own ability.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Please repeat. Pṛthu Mahārāja inquired
Pṛthu Mahārāja inquired
from the sages
from the sages
about
about
persons entangled
persons entangled
in this dangerous material existence
in this dangerous material existence
because of their previous actions.
because of their previous actions.
Could such persons,
Could such persons
whose only aim is
whose only aim is
sense gratification,
sense gratification
be blessed with
be blessed with
any good fortune?
any good fortune?
Purport. Maharaja Pṛthu did not ask the Kumaras about their good fortune. For the Kumaras are always auspicious by dint of their life in celibacy. Since they are always engaged on the path of liberation, there was no question of ill fortune. In other words, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who are strictly following the path of spiritual advancement are always fortunate. The question was asked by Pṛthu Mahārāja for his own sake. Since he was in the position of Grihastha and in charge of the royal authority, kings are not only Grihasthas who are generally absorbed in sense gratification, but are sometimes employed to kill animals in hunting because they have to practice the killing art. Otherwise, it is very difficult for them to fight their enemies. Such things are not auspicious. 4 kinds of sinful activities associating with a woman for illicit sex, eating meat, intoxication, and gambling are all allowed for the Kshatriyas. For political reasons, sometimes they have to take the sinful activities. Kshatriyas do not refrain from gambling. One vivid example is the Pandavas. When the Pandavas were challenged by the opposite party, Duryodhana, to gamble and risk their kingdom, they could not refrain, and by that gambling they lost their kingdom and their wife was insulted. Similarly, the Kshatriyas cannot refrain from fighting if challenged by opposition party. Therefore, Pṛthu Mahārāja, taking consideration of all these facts, inquired whether there is any auspicious path. Grihastha life is inauspicious because Grihastha means consciousness for sense gratification, and as soon as there is a sense gratification, one's position is always full of dangers. This material world is said to be padam padam yat vipadam natesham. Danger in every step. Bhagavatam 10:4-58. Every one in this material world is struggling hard for sense gratification. Clearing all these points, Maharaja Pṛthu inquired from the 4 Kumaras about the fallen conditioned souls who are resulting in this material world due to their past bad or inauspicious activities. Is there any possibility for their auspicious spiritual life in this verse? The word Indriyartha Vedinam is very significant. It indicates persons who only aim is to satisfy the senses. They are also described as a patitanam, of fallen. Only one who stops all activities for sense gratification is considered to be the elevated. Another significant word is swakarma. One becomes fallen by dint of his work, past bad activities. Everyone is responsible for his fallen condition because of his own activities. When activities are changed to devotional service, one's auspicious life begins. Let's do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpa tarubhyasya krupa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing the Pṛthu Mahārāja pastimes where Pṛthu Mahārāja is meeting 4 Kumaras. So, in the last few weeks, we have seen how Pṛthu Mahārāja welcomed 4 Kumaras, and then he gave all the nice services to the Pṛthu Mahārāja. Now he started speaking to them. In today's verse, he started inquiring about the some important aspects of conditional living entities. Right. So Pṛthu Mahārāja started with first question. Started in the translation. Prabhupada mentioned Pṛthu Mahārāja inquired from sages. Right. So inquiry is one of the important thing. But what we are inquiring is very much important. From the day when we wake up until we sleep, we inquire about many things. We inquire about our food, our shelter, our clothes. We inquire many things in day-to-day life. Of course, these are all important, but we always keep focusing on inquiring about it. And once we go to office or school, there also we inquire about many things. Work, salary, anything, or studies, marks, exams, right? Similarly, every businessman will inquire about how to get more profits, how to get more money in less time. So that is business people always inquire about, right? So similarly, so everyone will have different questions in their mind, different things will be going on in their mind, and they will be inquiring about so many things. But what exactly we should inquire? What kind of inquiries we need to make? That is what even this verse showing Pṛthu Mahārāja. Pṛthu Mahārāja is a king. He is a devotee. He already got a darshan of Lord Vishnu, everything, right? But still, his inquiries are not for his own purpose, right? His inquiries are only specific to the fallen conditioned souls. He was asking how the people who are involved in sense gratification and material enjoyment, how good fortune will come to them. Right? That is his inquiry. This is what the important things we need to understand. Generally, when we speak, what exactly? Generally, we know that if a person, what kind of person he is, we can assess based on his speech. What kind of questions he is asking, what kind of inquiries he is making. Like externally, he may be looking very rich, very opulent, and having so much luxurious life or leading. But what kind of person he is? That will not give all the external things will not make us to understand what kind of person he is. Only when he speaks, when he starts questioning, we will be knowing what kind of person he is, right? So this is what we need to inquire. And if you see in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right, sages were assembled in Naimisharanya, 80,000 sages, and initially they were trying to do fire sacrifice for the benefit of mankind. And then Sutta Goswami arrived, and then these people, sages, were assembled there and asking question. The first question they asked is, what is the ultimate good for all living beings? Right? So this is the question the great sages were asking the Sutta Goswami. But what is the ultimate good for all living? They did not ask how to get the liberation for themselves, right? How to progress in bhakti. Not even caring. They are asking for mankind. So this is the level of the mindset, their position, their consciousness, how they are thinking. Right? They are like if you see the Pṛthu Mahārāja example, and these sages also have. Similarly, we can take another example. Vyasadeva. He compiled all the Vedas, Puranas, but still he was not happy. And Narada Muni came advised that, so you write the bhakti literature like the Bhagavatam, right? That focusing more only on bhakti so that people will get benefited how to follow the bhakti. Our Vedas will have so many things in that people are not able to exclusively focus on bhakti path, right? So for only to practice the bhakti, Narada Muni instructed and then Vedas. So with that, many people got benefited. So this is the compassionate nature of the great sages. And last example I would like to take, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we know how great a devotee is. Like he is a scholarly and great devotee. But he wrote a bhajan, Amara Jivan Sada Pape Rate. Right? What he was saying, I am impious sinner and have caused others great anxiety and trouble. Easy, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talking about himself. Maybe in the humble state he might be speaking, but he is a great devotee. He is asking about us, right? He's praying for all of us. We are all in the conditioned nature, and how this is how the great people, great sages think. So this shows that in a Varnasa system, the great Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, they head of the society. Why they are head of the society? This we can derive from these examples. They always focus on how they need to ensure that people are in the right path. How we can ensure that they are moving in the right direction, right? How to bring them in the spiritual path. So these are all the important thing I was thought of talking when we see the Pṛthu Mahārāja started inquiring. It is relevant to us. So we should also think what the day to day we may have so many inquiries, but ultimate thing is we should inquire about our own spiritual progress, or how we can help other people to come into the progress of Krishna consciousness. That should be our inquiries. Another important point which from the purport Prabhupada mentioned, Grihastha means consciousness for sense gratification. And as soon as there is a sense gratification, one's position is always full of dangers. This is one of the main, I thought, there are many points which we'll discuss, but one of the important points struck in when I was going through the purport is, Grihastha means consciousness for sense gratification, and as soon as there is a sense gratification, we will have a danger, we feel. Example, I will try to understand this one story. One guru is a sage. He is residing in a forest, in a hermitage, and he is having one disciple. And the disciple is very nice. He is strictly following the instructions of guru. But once guru has to travel for preaching purpose, for so long duration he is planning to travel, then he gave the guru's disciple instruction. The guru gave the instructions to disciple that he gave a Bhagavad Gita, read every day, right? Practice. So good disciple, I think most of you heard, but yeah, it is relevant to understand this philosophy what Prabhupada mentioned. So the guru left the hermitage and the disciple practicing the guru's following the guru's instructions. And for a few days it was nice. But suddenly the disciple started realizing that his dhoti was damaged by rats. And then he thought, okay, he's tried to protect them nicely without being impacted by the rats. But after some time, he could not solve the problem. So then he thought, okay, he got an idea. Let me bring a cat. Right? So he bought a cat. So that because rats will not, by seeing the cats, rats will not come and disturb. So he got a cat. And he started the rats. Then he temporarily he was not having any disturbance with the rats. But then when he having the cat needs milk, and he has to provide the food daily. So now since he's only cat, right? So he thought, okay, he can manage it. So parallelly he was a little bit study Bhagavad Gita is reading, but he was also taking care of the cat. So after a few days, he realized that every day he has to go and get milk, and he's a disciple, Brahmana, right? So he will not have any money. So he has to go and ask some people, and then he has to feed cat. So then he was thinking that getting the daily milk from others is not, it's becoming tough. Let me have a cow. So he got a cow, and so now he has a cat, and now he is also having the milk cow. So cow, he needs to give the food, and he has to arrange so somehow with the forest he was able to manage, but he was thinking that cow means it gives cow dung will be there, cow urine will be there, and then he has to feed the cow, he has to take care of the cow. So he was becoming busy and busy. He stopped reading Bhagavad Gita because to maintain the cow. So he is having the cat and cow. So taking care of these two things, he's spending full time. Now he's not able to spend time on Bhagavad Gita, reading Bhagavad Gita. So he started thinking, okay, now I'm not able to spend time on Bhagavad Gita. I'm more and more complete time I'm spending on taking care of these two animals. So then the disciple thought, okay, let me get married. So wife will come. So the wife will take care of these animals. I can focus on Shastras. So then he got married and wife came. Then the three people are there, cat, cow and wife. No, it's not easy to maintain 3 people, right? Then he realized that, okay, I need to go and do some work, then earn money. With that money, he has to take care of these 3 people. So like that he was going on, and after a few years, Guru returned back. And then disciple with folded hands, what happened? What? Then he explained the situation. This is what happened. Now I forgot why I started this activity. Because he wanted to protect the dhoti, then he started this. Now he's entangled so much that he was keep on working on fulfilling his material desires. He stopped reading Bhagavad Gita, and he forgot actually why he came into this path of this grihastha thing, ignoring. So that is the conditioned life. This is the what important thing we need to understand. That's what, once the grihastha conscious for sense gratification, as soon as there is a sense gratification, is always full of dangers. Right? This we can understand from this story. How we people will be entangled in. Taking care of the family things is important, but if you are compromising your sadhana and fully dedicating, this is where you will becoming entangled in the conditioned life. So it is the important word mentioned in the verse, swakarma bhi, because of your own actions. You are falling into this, the maya, the family entanglement in the family. This because of your swakarma bhi, the own activities. No one is forcing you to come into this path. Yeah, your own activities bringing you into this material existence. And in the purport, Prabhupada was explaining a couple of examples. What kind of people will be getting into this kind of material existence conditionally, right? So he was giving the examples, grihasthas and kshatriyas, right? So there are 4 regulative principles which we know. We all know: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, right? So these are the 4 regulative principles Prabhupada prescribed, and chanting 16 rounds minimum, right? So, but these 4 regulative principles for certain varna and ashrama people, it is not practical. Example, kshatriyas, right? Kshatriyas, they have to hunt and kill the animals. And if somebody is challenging to fight, they have to fight. And if there's like somebody is challenging them to, asking them to invite, if there somebody is inviting them to play gambling, like we see in the example of Pandavas, that's what Prabhupada was mentioning in the purport, right? When as a kshatriya, he cannot reject the invitation. So same thing we could see, Pandavas went, played gambling, and they lost everything, right? So this is where they will do some of the inauspicious things, and they will get into the trap of maya, this kind of activities in the material existence, right? So, but the Pandavas have, when we cannot take all the examples, like the kshatriyas, most of the kshatriyas will be practicing deviating from this path of regulative principles, but some of them are practicing improperly. How we can understand this? Like in Bhagavad Gita, we have verse, Yajñartat karmano ñarta, lokoyam karma bandhana, tadartam karma kaunteya, mukta sangha samachara, right? The work has to be done as a sacrifice to Vishnu, otherwise it will cause bondage, right? So, but when in case of Pandavas, if we compare the Pandavas and other general kshatriyas, there's a difference. Pandavas, they are devotees. Krishna was guiding them every time, right? Even Arjuna was involved in the battlefield, even though he was taking part in the war, but he was just fulfilling the instructions of Krishna. But when other kshatriyas, most of the normal kshatriyas they don't have this kind of consciousness. They only have their own sense gratification. They have to rule the kingdom. They want to expand their kingdom. They want to kill the animals and so all the things they do. They, as part of enjoyment, they do intoxication and gambling. They do all sort of things. But when we compare other general kshatriyas and the Pandavas, the difference is, we can understand from this verse, Yajñartat karmano ñarta, where Pandavas are, or they are doing the most of the activities like the war, the Kurukshetra war, everything, they are just following the instructions of Krishna, but not all the kshatriyas. And if you see Pṛthu Mahārāja past time also, we heard Pṛthu Mahārāja was always, when he was always asking the boon that let me remember Krishna's lotus feet of Supreme Lord all the time. So though he was ruling the kingdom, his mood was always in the service mood towards Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And so this is where we can see that some great kings who consider this, any activity which they do as offering to Krishna, their names we are reading in Srimad Bhagavatam. But those who are fully entangled, nobody remember. Right? So this is one thing, certain few points which I would like to highlight based on the purport. So another important word from the purport, indriyartha, sense gratification as the ultimate goal of life. Right? This is another word, important word to say in the response. And when we see this, how we can understand this, like in a third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma's prayers, when we see Brahma was explaining these things, right? In the one of the verse 396, it was mentioned, "Oh my Lord, people of this world are all having the material anxieties. They are always afraid. They always try to protect wealth, body, friends. They are all filled with lamentation and unlawful desires and paraphernalia, and they have their undertaking the perishable concepts of my and mine. As long as they do not shake shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties." So Brahma was mentioning in the third canto of 9th Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th chapter, Brahma's prayers. So he was, what kind of people who take this word, when we say indriyartha, sense gratification as the ultimate goal, what kind of people? Those who are involved in they are always afraid, they are always try to protect their wealth, body and friends. Right? And when they try to do all these activities, they get into the more and more, and they will be fearful, and sometimes unlawful desires come. Same thing, example of the story which we discussed, right? He was started to protect his dhoti, and from there he started thinking about his family, right? So like that the desires will increase. This is where the Brahma, those who do all these activities, and the last point he mentioned in that, though do not take shelter of your safe lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties. So this is what Brahmaji was mentioning. Another important, in the purport also Prabhupada mentioned in the same verse, the third 396, a pure devotee will never think himself as a proprietor of his home, and he surrenders everything unto supreme control of the Lord, and thus he has no fear for maintaining his family or protecting the interest of his family. See, like when the devotees also protecting the family, right? Grihastha is there. There are many grihasthas as the devotees. They are not having any anxieties. They are not having any fearful situations. Or they are completely surrendered to the Lord, and because of that but those who don't take the shelter of lotus feet and they try to maintain the family, they are the ones who will always doing the sense enjoyment. Another important comparison Prabhupada mentioned in the third canto, right? He was comparing with the poisonous snake and a devotee and the non-devotees, right? So he is giving the nice comparison. The poisonous snake, when it has a venom, the poison is there, it will keep biting. It doesn't matter if someone is harming or someone is not harming. Whoever is going next to passing through that, then it will bite. Right? So that is the materialistic conditioned nature. So it doesn't matter whether you need or you don't need, you try to acquire everything. Right? And once you take out the poison from the snake, it doesn't create any problem. Right? So the devotee, same Prabhupada was mentioning that poison, once you take out the poison, it won't cause any. Similarly, the devotee, he may be having so much possession, wealth, house, money, everything, but everything he will be using in the service of Lord. So that's why when we take out the poison of the snake, it doesn't cause any harm. Similarly, the devotee who is having all the money and the possessions, he will always try to use in the service of Lord. So this is a nice analogy Srila Prabhupada gave between the materialistic people and the devotee, comparing with a poisonous snake and the snake after taking out the poison. And one more thing is arthavadinam, persons who understand only sense gratification. This is another word. So this is all. Prabhupada in this important word mainly focusing on the conditioned material people. What kind of people who involved in sense gratification? What kind of people? Those who only think about sense gratification. This is what he was highlighting. So in this case, the same in the third canto, it was mentioned. the whole trouble of living entity in the material existence is that he has an independent conception of life. So why people are thinking that only sense gratification is the only my goal? See, we can see outside world, many people, they don't take the this knowledge, spiritual knowledge, right? They don't come into the temple, they don't do any spiritual practices. Why? Their only aim is to sense enjoyment, go to the pubs, go to the movies, and do all other activities, right? So their only mode is to, why they are thinking that and why they are not able to come into the temple or in. That basic reason is, what is their consciousness, what is their mentality? The mentality is independent conception of life. So we think that we have a momentarily desire that we would like to enjoy separately from Krishna. And we came into this material world. And as soon as you came into the material world, this modes will be acting and you completely forgot the relationship with Krishna. You think that this my aim is to enjoy this life. That's the only purpose, right? With that mode, consciousness, people were thinking that only aim of the life is sense gratification. That is Artha Vedinam. Another important thing is, what is the important sensible work and what is the senseless work? That is another important people don't have the knowledge. Because of that, they think that sense gratification is the only aim in the life. Why people, right? What is the important work? What is not important, right? Suppose you take the example of again the story of the disciple. They are taking care of dhotis, okay, that's nice. But the way it went such that you ignore everything and focusing on only taking care of, right? We need to draw the line. We need to understand where to stop and where to focus on bhakti. Not at the, he compromised all his sadhana, devotion, and just focused on these things, right? So people don't have the knowledge of what is the senseless work and what is sensible work, right? That is another challenge in the conditioned living entities in this material world are facing. That's why we can see on a Friday evening, we see when we go there, so many people are in the pub and they don't have, and weekend they will suffer, and the Monday again they'll come to work, right? So this is the tendency of the people. Why they are doing? This is the reason Brahmaji explaining the third canto, right? They have the concept of independence of concept of life, where they think that this is the body, the purpose is to enjoy, nothing more. So this is the thing. And when the soul is under the spell of material life, spell of material nature and false ego, identifying his body as the self, he becomes absorbed in material activities. This is where the Kardama Muni was mentioning in the third canto to Devahuti, how the people are coming into this entanglement because the soul is under the spell of material nature, right? Once it is coming, the Kardama Muni before that, sage Kapila was explaining to Devahuti. Before that he was explaining the Sankhya philosophy, and then subsequently he was giving the instructions to Mother Devahuti. Mother Devahuti was asking about all the questions, right? There he was explaining why people will be falling into the material existence, this Maya, right? The soul is under the spell of material nature. When material nature is there, again the false ego comes. With that false ego, they are thinking that they are the independent and they don't have any other purpose in the life, and they continue in the... Even the same third canto, we have a prayers of unborn child. There also we have the similar thing. The soul is, the unborn child was praying, I, the pure soul, appearing now, born my activities. I am lying in the womb of my mother by the arrangement of Maya. So the Maya was, because when he was in the outside, he was under the influence of Maya, and he forgot his original identity. He was fully entangled in the material action. Now again he has to take the birth, and he is in the womb. He realizing that past mistakes what he did, but as soon as again he came back to, even he comes out of the mother's womb, again he will start doing the same thing. So it's like repeated birth and death. So in the purports, Prabhupada was mentioning in the last line, what is the ultimate? This is what Pṛthu Mahārāja question: how the good fortune will come to all these people who are involved in this material entanglement, material enjoyment, right? The only thing is taking the shelter of lotus feet of Supreme Lord. Then again this sage Kapila was giving the instructions in the how to perform the devotion, right? First thing, perform prescribed duties. Again, it was coming to the previous original discussion, coming to the prescribed duties. we have the different varnas and ashramas, we have to perform prescribed duties. But how? Under the guidance of Acharya, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, we need to perform execute our prescribed duties, right? When we perform prescribed duties with a service to Krishna, then we will not be having any reactions. Then we will be coming out of this repeated birth and death. And the next one is taking the darshan of deities. This is what the Lord Kapila was giving the instructions to Devahuti to performing the devotional service. Right? Devotee should regularly see deities. Take the darshan, come to the temple, take the darshan of the deities, and take the Charanamrut, take the prasadam, and that way. But there is a difference. Some people will think that, okay, taking the deity darshan is in the neophyte stage. But advanced people, it is not, may not require. Some people may be having things, but that is not. The way you see advanced devotee will see the deity, the way, the mood, the consciousness of advanced devotee will see the deity is different from the neophyte. Neophyte stage deity, just he will see okay, he is a representation of Supreme Lord Krishna, Radha Gopinath. They neophyte think that. But advanced devotee, he doesn't see any difference between the actual Supreme Bhagavan and Radha Gopinath. Both are same. Right? That kind of the difference is there in the mood. So we need to take to the temple, take the darshan of the deity. That is a compulsory. That is one of the. So first one we saw, it is executing prescribed duties under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. And second thing, coming to the temple and taking part darshan of the deity and do various services and prasadam, charanamrut, these things. And further he was explaining, the pure devotee should execute devotional service by giving the great respect to the spiritual master and acharyas. Right? That is another thing. So when we give the spiritual master, we need to respect and acharyas. Right? That's why when we do, we celebrate the appearance of our great acharyas. We celebrate the disappearance day of the acharyas. Right? So we need to respect and treat them nicely. We should not think that Guru is an ordinary person. Right? We should not treat like the Guru, Vaishnava and deity of the temple. Should not take it as a common thing, like the nitrate normal thing. These are having the respectable importance, the proper importance in our spiritual life. If you want to progress in the spiritual practices, we should not take this as a normal, simple way, that okay, these are just deity, just a statue, or just it's a Guru is like an ordinary human being. We should never think that the Guru is having the proper respect in our life. We should treat them with utmost respect, deal with the Guru and Vaishnava and at the same time deity. And a devotee should always try to hear about spiritual matters and should always utilize his time in chanting the holy name of the Lord. His behavior should always be straightforward and simple. And although he is not envious but friendly to everyone, he should avoid the company of persons who are not spiritually advanced. These are all the instructions Kapila Dev was giving to his mother Devahuti, which is very relevant to us because we are in the same position, like in the material condition, completely involved in material sense gratification. To come out of this material sense gratification, that is what Pṛthu Mahārāja question. How these people will have a good fortune. What is the good fortune? Taking the shelter of lotus feet and coming back to the God on the path of spiritual path, so that these all conditioned living entities will go back to Godhead instead of taking repeated birth. That is the question Pṛthu Mahārāja was asking. How the good fortune will come to these people who are materially motivated, who are thinking that sense enjoyment is the only primary goal, this sort of. So I would like to conclude here. Any comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, just referring to the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned 4 kinds of sinful activities are allowed for the Kshatriyas. This is very interesting. Does it also apply for the Vaishyas and Shudras as well? He said including eating meat. I know you touched upon various examples, general
See, Prabhu, yeah, we need. This is where when I was giving the sage Kapil Dev instructions to Devahuti, he mentioned execute your prescribed duties, but under the guidance of spiritual master. So, because in case of Kshatriyas, it's their prescribed duty, but when they are like the killing, eating Eating is not meant, but eating it was not mentioned here, right? But again, that's where eating is not mentioned here. Killing and gambling, wherever it is described, required as part of the eating. Yeah, because the Kshatriyas, yeah, Prabhupada mentioned means it is they might be eating it, but again, with the consciousness, right? If it is a demanding, but what is the, you need to take the instructions from Guru and practice it. It's case by case. We cannot generalize it, right? So it's each varna and ashrama having the prescribed. That's why the best option is the Kapila Dev was mentioning. Take the instructions from your bona fide guru and follow the instructions. Guru will tell how to deal with such situation. We cannot generalize such things. But again, in Vedas mentioned, right, if you eat any non-meat, again you have to take the birth in the next life. That is unavoidable, right? So those are the things which is there. So within that framework, if you work, then again you will have the reaction. Right? That's yes, Prabhu. See, like a simple thing is, we have to be practicing the Guru's instructions, read Bhagavad Gita, yes, that is important. But any solution you do, like try to be find it in a spiritual solution, kind of keeping that in the mind. Don't try to jump into the solution without thinking broader impact or anything. So that's where we need to think. Like he could have find many other solutions to escape from the rats. There could be many others, but simply he took one path and then he entangled in that, right? So even if he took that path also, he should have stopped after cat. He shouldn't go further. Somehow he has to do other adjustment, but he didn't go that, right? So that's where Guru is important in making such. But the Guru is not there. Guru Sadhu Shastra. So how to constantly remember means see the. It's by practice. First thing it will come. So if you do regular sadhana systematically, your mind will be always thinking. As soon as something happens, mind will connect. It will our regular sadhana, morning practice chanting and then doing all the sadhana. It will ensure that your mind will not go deviate from the path. Right? The systematic sadhana, regular practice, will keep you in the right direction. That's what we can. Because Paramatma is there in the Krishna. He will guide you. See, like we can see that many people are, Paramatma is there in everybody's heart. And he will be speaking to many people. But many people in the outside world, they are ignoring it, right? They don't understand what, even devotees also, we don't, like for us also, the instructions will come through the Guru or some devotee or Krishna will arrange like that, so we will be in a right path. So for that to happen, our sadhana should be systematic, proper. So when we are having the right sadhana, then all take the example of Pṛthu Mahārāja. Right, so Pṛthu Mahārāja, he was going to see the Vishnu in the forest. But Narada Muni came in between and he helped. Like that, if we are sincere in our sadhana and practice, Krishna will arrange facilities so that we will not deviate from the path. Right. Yeah, devotees. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, no, Mataji. Yeah, Swakarma bhi. No, Mataji. No, Mataji. It's a humble nature, Mataji. It's your humility. Hare Krishna. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।